Austin needs volunteers to check in on its unhoused population. We're going to tell you how you can sign up to help with the point and time count ahead. And we have new City Council member Krista Lane live with us in studio today. We're talking to her about her priorities and issues she hopes to tackle facing the city of Austin this upcoming year.
A perfect winter Friday working across our area today, and it only gets better from where we are now. We'll talk about it in First Warning Weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
In less than a week, Austin City Council will meet for the first time in the new year to tackle some of the biggest issues that folks in our city are watching. There will be some new faces on the dais as well. So joining us today to get to know her a bit better is a council member, newly elected, Krista Lane, representing District 6. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, and so we can start to get to know each other.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We know we'll be seeing a lot of you very soon. I want to start by giving folks a picture. There's been some turnover in the leadership representing this district. We know that your predecessor defeated the incumbent, and then you, of course, won out in the election this past fall. So talk to us about how you hope to bring some stability to this district and what really caused you to want to jump into leadership for District 6.
So I think that the reason that I decided to run for this office and the reason that we have never re-elected an incumbent in District 6 is identical. There are a lot of gaps in city services and areas where District 6 has become forgotten. And I decided to run so that I could begin to elevate some of those issues using my professional experience, which relates to housing and transportation and the infrastructure that supports our city. And then also so that we can connect on some of the highest priority issues facing our district.
What do you think those high priority issues are?
Well, I think that one is homelessness. District 6 has seen the second fastest growth rate in the homeless population since the camping ban was reinstated. We have many more individuals who do not have shelter and are living in our woods, maybe having fires in order to stay warm at night, and also under our underpasses just highly visibly. And we do not have that same connection with supportive services for these individuals that other parts of the city have. And so District 6 is 60% Williamson County, 40% Travis County. Homeless services frequently happen based on the county lines, and so I want to foster the connections that will bring the services out to our part of the city. And since we haven't had supportive services for the homeless population, they haven't been connected with services that are available in other parts of the city as effectively, and that in turn has caused our 911 calls that come out of District 6 to be more heavily related to homelessness with police response. And what we really need to do is we need to take some of the successful pilot programs that other parts of the city have used, roll them out in District 6 where we've had such a growth in homelessness. And as we start to do that, we can also get to the point, another area of very strong concern for me, public safety. We can get to the point that we're having more effective response to our 911 calls. And not just for police, it is important with police, but also so that if someone is having a mental health episode, which we do see out there in the parking lots and around our district, they get effective help that still keeps our police free for violent crime or investigating crimes or that kind of thing. Also that we can have more effective response from our firefighters and EMS. I mean, we have some great individuals working in these departments, but we just need a little bit more coordination across those county lines and also across school district lines. So in Northwest Austin District 6, we have a very small part that's in AISD, but over 90% of the district is in Round Rock ISD, and we also have some Leander ISD, and we don't have the same coordination between the city and those non-AISD school districts that supports the safety of our students and our families.
I know that education is a big thing for you. Talk about that coordination being one thing. What are some other things that you hope to see as it relates to kids and students in your district?
My number one priority as it relates to students is improving the coordination between the city and the district. And I have a list of maybe 10 to 15 different areas, from emergency response, weather events, the list goes on, related to that.
Yeah.
But also more broadly, there's a lot of issues with traffic in District 6. You know, as traffic has grown, we've had more cut-through traffic. We do not, you know, across the city have enforcement on speeding and assistance with school zones that maybe aren't as safe as they could be. And so I have a very strong priority on getting safer routes for our children who are trying to get to and from school on foot or by bike, so that they can be safe and parents can feel comfortable leaving early enough to get where they need to go for work and knowing their kids can safely get to school. And then as I work on that, it'll also help our workers, you know, get to their work more safely and have more transportation options.
You mentioned public safety. I want to ask you something that we've asked several of our elected leaders this week. We are hearing so many updates from the Trump administration as it takes office, as it relates to using local resources to roll out the Trump administration's plans for immigration policy and what he has called mass deportations that the president is hoping to see. Our question to you as local leadership, though, is how will you, engage with federal resources, and how will you respond if local police are asked to be a part of some of these efforts?
Well, one of the reasons I'm so excited to be able to represent our district is because I think that our district brings a little bit of a different perspective on this than some of what people might just naturally think of. We have 20% Asian population, which includes a very large percentage of legal immigrants who work in tech and engineering and those sorts of things, and also often get ensnared in some of the efforts to address immigration. And so I look forward to learning from my community what their needs are and then elevating those in the city as effectively as I can.
There's so much we could cover with you, but you mentioned Austin fire, and we know so many people have been focused on what's happening in California. We've heard from some of our local fire leadership here, the association, saying that more needs to be done to make sure wildfires don't happen here. How do you plan to address that for your district?
It is critically important that we increase our preparedness for wildfires. And, you know, we have a lot of wooded canyons on the west side of town. That includes a lot of District 6 and District 10. And there are neighborhoods that have only one in and out, or two in or out, and are completely surrounded by woods, not far from where the Standard Ranch fire was, you know, a decade ago. We do not have currently an effective enough evacuation plan, and that is critical. We also have parts of District 6 that have grassy areas. The Avery Ranch area fire that happened just a couple of years ago. It is a high priority for me to also work with the city and work with my colleague in District 6 and any other colleagues who would like to prioritize wildfire preparedness and get us to a better place. And one of the ways that I am will be working on public safety is I'm looking to, I've expressed my interest in being vice chair of the Public Safety Committee of City Council, so that I will be right there in the room with as much information as possible and beginning to work across all these agencies and hopefully bring my private sector industry experience into the conversation and help us get somewhere where we all need us to get, you know?
Jumping right into it, wasting no time in trying to lead on the council. So we look forward to seeing what you have to do. We know that next meeting, we want to remind people, is coming up. It is just next Thursday, and so we'll be hearing more from newly elected council member Krista Lane. Thank you so much for being here today.
And I really appreciate all the coverage that KXAN has given to District 6, and I really look forward to building this relationship and continuing that.
We appreciate you being here. We love getting to know you better. So thanks so much for joining us. We do want to take a look outside now with Rich and our weather forecast.
Thank you. First warning weather with meteorologist Rich Siegel.
Thank you, Avery. We are looking at a sunny sky across the entire area this early Friday afternoon. Not a cloud to be seen. We will start seeing some clouds as early as 4 to 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the low to mid 50s for most of the viewing area now, down to 49 at Blanco. It is 54 at Camp Mabry, also at Atlanta. Cameron, Flatonia will warm into the upper 50s to around 60. Dew points have continued to drop into teens and some 20s. The dew point down to 11 at San Saba. The dew point in Austin, 17. It is 20 at Bastrop, and our highest is 21, both at Cameron and at Luling. Wind, well, the reason for the lower dew points is the wind coming out of the southwest. Most speeds at around 5 to 10. We've got a couple that are a little higher than 10 right now, but on the whole, we'll average about 5 to 10 during the afternoon. We'll add a few degrees at 1 o'clock, peak at around 60 between 3 and 4 this afternoon. The sun will go down to a clear sky and temperatures drop into in the 40s during the middle of the evening, on our way to low temperatures on Saturday morning in the 30s. Still to come from the First Warning Weather Center, this is the last bright day that we'll have for a while because we have the clouds rolling back in. Most lows tomorrow morning will be above freezing. That'll be nice because we haven't had that for a while either. And a few good rain days coming up, and that has the Weather Office all smiles today. All of that and more still to come in First Warning Weather. Avery?
Rich, thank you so much. With just today and tomorrow to go, the agency that conducts Austin's homelessness count says it still needs hundreds more volunteers for its point-in-time count. That gives the city a rough estimate for how many people are unhoused in our area. Tomorrow, teams will go street by street to make contact with as many of these people as possible. And KXAN's Mercedes Hernandez is joining us now in studio with more on the push, Mercedes, to get a few more helping hands.
Yeah, they yesterday, whenever I did this interview, they expressly, gave their gratitude for trying to get the word out about the need for those volunteers. Now, this agency that's putting all of this together is ECHO. That is the Ending Community Homelessness Coalition. Now, they're the ones, again, who are doing all of this, conducting this survey, and they say the more volunteers they have, the clearer the picture becomes of just how many people in Austin don't have homes.
There's nothing else like this. There just isn't another opportunity to really engage with your community and see what it looks like, what it means to do direct service, and what it means to do outreach.
Yeah, and just to double down kind of on what Angela there said, she says in a perfect world, they'd love to have 1,200 volunteers helping with that mission. The survey happens every 2 years and is required by HUD. It usually draws only 800 volunteers. Right now, they have just a little over half of that signed up. They need about 400 more hands to really canvass the city. Now, the data they collect will be used to help figure out just how much help, time, and money needs to be kind of accumulated and accounted for in order to help the populations of the people that they will meet once that survey gets rolling. Now, all of that starts tomorrow at 3 a.m. Avery?
Mercedes, thank you so much. We do want to turn now to the fires in California that we have been tracking all week. Of course, we have seen new fires sparking even yesterday into today. You're looking at footage here from a new fire near San Diego. This broke out near the U.S.-Mexico border just yesterday. Cameras showing it spreading at a dangerous rate. The border fire, as it's being called, has burned more than 140 acres. And we do want to note that the president is actually making a trip currently to California. We'll be watching to see what he has to say as he visits these communities. Of course, as these wildfires continue to ravage the state of California, Austin City Council is looking to make sure a similar scene does not play out here. The city remains in one of the highest risks in the nation for wildfires, and that's why looking to the future to get things under control before disaster strikes, leadership says, is extremely important. City Council has several items aimed at wildfire mitigation coming up on its upcoming agenda. One of them is a $7.5 million contract to mitigate wildfires. The money would be split up to help clean up the city's more than 12,000 acres of land, of green belts, parks, and nature preserves. That includes things like trimming trees, also making sure underbrush is under control. It's especially important for people who live near these areas, homes, especially after what we've seen in California. Most of the areas managed by Parks and Rec describe the areas as moderate or very poor ecological conditions.
In both directions.
That is exactly the sort of fuel that wildfires need to spark and gain strength.
Gotten a bunch of questions from folks about what is the city doing or what can a homeowner do to help protect their property. But we definitely want to make sure we are working in concert with our surrounding communities and sharing the resources. A lot of them already exist.
The city is also expected to vote on an agreement next week that would work with the federal government to better study wildfire conditions. Council says a lot has changed since the last study was done 4 years ago. So we'll, of course, be tracking what happens at Council. Still to come here on KXAN News at noon, Governor Greg Abbott says the federal government should reimburse the state for his efforts at the southern border. How many billions he says Texas has spent securing the border? Coming up in our show. Also up next, a beautiful flower with a hidden surprise. Find out why people are flocking to check out this rare plant. Welcome back, everyone. We are taking a gorgeous live look, I believe, out in the hill country today. Oh, Rich says no. Where are we? Llano! Llano, beautiful Llano. How could I forget? This is our other anchor, Will Dupree's favorite camera. A shout out to Will. We wish you were back here with us soon. We're gonna have your full forecast out in the hill country and back here in Austin in just a couple of minutes. First, a rare plant with an unusual smell is drawing quite a crowd in Australia. People flocked to Sydney yesterday to experience the bloom of the rare corpse flower. The flower, which has been nicknamed Patricia, that's perhaps my favorite part of this story. It has graced the Royal Sydney Botanic Garden for about a week. Her rise to fame has been rapid, with more than 13,000 admirers filing past for a moment in her increasingly pungent presence. What makes her special is that strong smell.
I liken the smell to the smell of a dead possum in the roof. I've experienced both almost simultaneously in my past here at the gardens. It's a chemical production that happens within the plant, and its purpose is to attract pollinators, which in this case are flies and carrion beetles, anything that's attracted to a rotting animal in the jungle. And it's a smell that really penetrates through the jungle, so it attracts pollinators from all over. It's only just starting to smell now. It's perhaps like a dead mouse, so it'll build up over the next probably 5 or 6 hours, and then a bit into tomorrow. So it will be some people find it a little bit overwhelming, but it's a fantastic adaptation to life in the jungle of Sumatra.
As he said they're usually found in Sumatran rainforests. No other corpse flower has bloomed at the garden for the past 15 years. The plant only flowers every 7 to 10 years in the wild. There are thought to be only 300 of these plants in the wild and fewer than 1,000 worldwide, including those in cultivation. So a pretty rare sight and smell for folks there.
You're a big UT fan, aren't you?
Oh, yes.
Guess who's celebrating a birthday today?
Well, who would that be?
Who might be celebrating a birthday that's not a human?
Is it Bevo's birthday?
It's Bevo's birthday today. Now, depending on who
What a fun fact.
Well, a friend of mine posted on his Instagram account. He says that Bevo is 10. AI is suggesting that Bevo is 7, but he is celebrating a birthday regardless of how old he is today. And that's your fun fact.
Happy birthday, Bevo. I love it.
Just thought I'd throw that in.
No, I love it. Rich, you always have me with my UT facts. I love it.
I love doing it, too.
I love it. A beautiful birthday for him to be celebrating out there.
It sure is. It's a perfect winter weather day for us as we enjoy sunshine, looking from this view from the Austonian in downtown Austin, pointing towards the northern sky, the Capitol nestled in the middle of the picture. And this is just a pretty day. We have a lot of sun for the rest of the day, with afternoon highs peaking deep into the 50s to a few at around 60 degrees. The normal high today is 63 degrees. Tomorrow morning will be not as cold as it was this morning. We had several in the 20s, a few in the teens, but tomorrow morning it looks like we go mostly 31 to 35. But as we said this morning, I think that as we head out to parts of San Saba, Llano, Gillespie, and Mason counties, that we may find a few upper 20s to start the day with increasing clouds. Now, we'll be sunny for the rest of the afternoon and a clear sky tonight. The clouds start rolling in about the time that the sun comes up tomorrow morning, and then they may open up with a little bit of rain in parts of our eastern communities on Saturday late in the afternoon into the evening, then become more widespread as we get late Saturday night into Sunday morning. Another front will head to the area. This one will be south of Austin between about 4 and 5 o'clock, and then slowly works its way further down towards the south. I think actually this front may be out of the area Sunday morning before 11:30, but nevertheless it will deliver a north wind, keep our temperatures on the chill side on Sunday. A little bit of rain Monday, not a great deal of it, and a little bit of rain on Tuesday, but it's Wednesday and to Thursday that we see our higher rain probabilities. I don't think it's a 100% aerial coverage, but it will rain on Wednesday and it will rain on Thursday. And if you've got travel up into the Panhandle, Amarillo, northward to the Oklahoma and New Mexico border areas, there may be some snow that you're dealing with if you have traveled up there. And then by next Friday, the rain is gone. But we have several good opportunities to see some decent rain in the area. We've only had 89 hundredths of an inch of rain so far this month. and that's a deficit of 1.25 inches. This after a fantastic January 2024 rain where we had more than 6 inches. That's not going to happen. As far as future rain from today through next week, we're looking at about 3/4 inch to several at 1 inch plus, and maybe a couple that could go over 2. For the weekend, clouds tomorrow, a little rain late. More rain, cooler temperatures on Sunday as we head into your upcoming weekend. 60 for the high today with a south to southwest wind at 5 to 10. 59 tomorrow, 54 on Sunday, and then we'll stay in the 50s Monday. Low rain chance. Rain chance goes up Tuesday, so do the temperatures, and by Wednesday, some of you may reach around 70 degrees. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody. Your time now, 12:26. Some news in the health world. Members of the family who own Purdue Pharma and the company itself have agreed to pay up to $7.4 billion in a new settlement over their role in the opioid crisis. The new settlement is worth $1 billion more than a deal the Supreme Court rejected last year. The Connecticut-based company sought bankruptcy protection in 2019 as it faced thousands of lawsuits over the crisis. Among the claims are that the company downplayed the risks of their painkiller, OxyContin, to doctors. This deal still needs court approval, and some of the details are yet to be ironed out. But Connecticut's Attorney General says the settlement is a step towards justice.
What's at stake here are the roughly 1,400 families this year and the thousands that have come before who are wrecked by this crisis. You know, they'll never be the same. They're strong, they fight, they're here, they're in it, they're committed, but they will never get their boys back.
The Sackler family has agreed to pay up to $6.5 billion. Purdue will pay $900 million for that total of $7.4 billion. Still to come here on KXAN News at noon, the troops President Trump has sent to the border have now arrived. We are tracking the military action ahead.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at noon.
Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for joining us. New for you this midday, Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller has his focus on many issues across the state of Texas, including the spread of bird flu, the fight over THC that we're bracing for at the Texas Capitol. He actually joined us in the studio a few minutes ago, but if you missed that conversation, he says another pressing issue are new regulations in the equine industry. Those changes are aimed at protecting horses and strengthening a law known as the Horse Protection Act. It prohibits what's known as soring. That's the practice of intentionally inflicting pain on a horse's legs to create some of the exaggerated high stepping you see in some horse shows and competitions. The amendments also call for USDA approved vets to inspect every horse at shows for violations. Now, Commissioner Miller shared his reason behind why he's advocating for these regulations not to go into effect.
Well, it's government overreach at its worst. I mean, we already have a shortage of large animal veterinarians. I'm a horse shower, I'm a rodeo guy. Before I go, I have to take my horses to a vet and get a health certificate. They've already been inspected. So what this does is way too far. In addition to having to hire veterinarians and to be on site and have every horse inspected and re-inspected if you win, you can be disqualified if they find fly spray on the legs of your horse. If you have show sheen, which is just something you put on their coat to make it shine, if they find that, you're disqualified. So it's just way overreach. Thank goodness, working with the new Trump landing team, the new USDA folks, this is great. Winter chicken dinner, we got it stopped this morning. So we got a 60-day extension, which is plenty of time for the new secretary to come in, review this, and see if we can get it right, because this is totally wrong.
As he mentioned there, he wants to see those regulations pulled all the way back. We asked him a few more questions about that, but also we talked to him about the bird flu. It's something several states are tracking. He talks to us about how Texas is trying to prevent that virus from spreading here in our agriculture industries. You can listen to more of that interview. It'll be up very shortly on our website, KXAN.com. New nonstop flights from Austin to Asia might soon be a possibility. Talks between airlines and a consulting group working for the Austin airport have been, quote, incredibly productive. That's according to a presentation at the airport's advisory commission earlier this month. Kevin Shore, VP of Campbell Hill Aviation Group, didn't give a specific timeline for when those new flights could begin, saying it's tough to predict air service changes. He says flights could be 3 to 5 years away or as soon as 6 months away. He told commissioners his team is in contact with Asia-based airlines frequently.
We talk to the airlines as often as we can to help them understand not just what's happening in the Austin community and in Central Texas, but most importantly, we want to help them understand how many new Asian businesses are opening up, how many Asians are moving into the area.
Specific cities and airlines were not mentioned in the presentation, but airport officials have been targeting several Asian destinations for years. In 2019, Beijing, Seoul, Shanghai, and Tokyo were all named as international priority routes for the airport, as well as Amsterdam, Dublin, and Paris. And as we're taking you in depth now, Dutch airline KLM began those direct flights from Austin to Amsterdam in 2022. Nonstop flights to Paris also nearly happened. Norwegian Air announced in October of 2019 that it would begin flying that route, but actually canceled it before flights ever took off because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the Austin airport offers several incentives that airlines can get if they bring nonstop service to one of those priority routes we mentioned. That includes covering up to $500,000 in marketing costs and waiving airport fees. You can dig into all of this. KXAN digital data reporter Christopher Adams has a closer look also at how construction at the airport is expected to bring not only some of these new routes, but new airlines to Austin as well.
First warning weather.
Let's take a live look now over downtown Austin. An absolutely gorgeous day out there. Nothing but blue skies. Rich, I know this is perfect for anybody who's looking at their weekend plans, but you're also tracking a bit of a rainy forecast that might dampen some of that.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that we deserve a day like today?
I think so, after what we've been through this week.
Well, let's check temperatures as we continue to warm. Hill country temperatures in the low to mid 50s right now. A general range of 50 to 55 looks good for most of the hill country. As a matter of fact, all of it. We're in the low to mid 50s here in the metro communities, about 52 to 55 right now, both at Manchac and Round Rock, as well as at Kyle. And for those of you in our eastern viewing area, we have a few in the upper 50s right now, several at 57, including McDade, Muldoon, and Flatonia. We're headed to upper 50s to around 60 this afternoon with this sunshine. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to be talking about a few good days of rain, which we really do need because the drought monitor that was released yesterday is no different than the drought monitor released in the previous week. It hasn't changed at all. No variance anywhere, and extreme drought continues from Travis into much of Hayes and on into the southern part of Blanco County. And I don't know that we'd see much of a change next week given what little rain we're expecting, but you never know. We'll be back with that rainy forecast as part of the 7-day outlook in just a few minutes. Avery?
Rich, thank you. U.S. troops are now in El Paso. 3 military planes touched down at Biggs Army Airfield just yesterday. Troops have also arrived in San Diego. This all follows President Trump's executive order. At least 1,500 active duty U.S. Army and Marine Corps troops will help the 2,500 National Guard members already on the border. Military troops cannot act as law enforcement, but they can help with building border barriers, and they can help with intelligence and surveillance. In Mexico, workers have started to build massive tents near the Texas border across from El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. It comes ahead of a possible wave of migrant deportations from the United States. Authorities said the tents will be able to house thousands of people, and they say they should be ready in a few days. President Trump has promised to carry out what he's calling the largest deportation in U.S. history. Governor Greg Abbott is calling on the federal government to reimburse Texas for its efforts at the border. The governor sent letters to leaders in both the state and U.S. congressional delegations. He says, quote, in total, Texas has spent over $11.1 billion to protect the nation and secure the border. Accordingly, I am formally requesting that the federal government reimburse Texas for these costs in full. Texas Senator John Cornyn says he supports that reimbursement request. In a statement, he told us he will continue to include funds in Congress reconciliation legislation. A federal judge has temporarily halted one of President Trump's executive orders. Trump is trying to end the constitutional guarantee of birthright citizenship. A district judge in Seattle issued that order in a case brought on by 5 states. They argue the 14th Amendment and Supreme Court case law have cemented the right to birthright citizenship. 4 other lawsuits challenging Trump's executive order were filed on behalf of 22 states, immigrants' rights groups, and a group of pregnant women. The Latino population in Central Texas continues to grow, and yet a new report is showing they still face barriers to economic growth. This report by the Hispanic Impact Fund shows both progress and shortfalls in economic growth for Latinos in Central Texas. It says Latinos led population growth in this area between 2012 and 2022, growing by more than 79,000 people. When it comes to jobs, the report shows Latinos make up about a third of the workforce in Central Texas, and yet it says many Latinos are confined to minimal incomes.
We may have jobs, but are they high-wage jobs? Are they good quality jobs? And so within our job skills and entrepreneurship, we want to help folks get high-wage, high-demand jobs.
The report highlighted some progress within the Latino community as well. It says there has been a steady increase in Latinos earning bachelor's and master's degrees over the last 10 years. The report also says Latino home ownership is up since 2021. The Hispanic Impact Fund says this report helps guide their grant-making decisions. Going further in depth for you with some context, a McKinsey & Company study from 2021 found Latinos are projected to make up more than 1 in 5 U.S. workers by the year 2030, and 1 in 3 U.S. workers just 30 years later in 2060. The study also found a wage gap as high as $288 billion per year, with Latino workers receiving just 2/3 of what white counterparts earn. Still to come here on KXAN News at Noon, a new exhibit opened today to share the stories of Black storytellers that have shaped the history of Broadway. We'll have a first glimpse into that showcase next. We are taking a live look out at Coda today, where it is sunshine and blue skies, a beautiful day to get out and enjoy your Friday. Rich Siegel's going to have our full forecast and your weekend look ahead coming up in just a couple of minutes. Black storytellers have given us rich and vibrant stories throughout the decades, and now there is a new exhibit with a mission to highlight the men and women who shaped the history of Broadway. John A. Caldwell takes us to the Museum of Broadway in New York to get a look inside this exhibit.
At the Museum of Broadway, visitors can journey through centuries of theatrical history. Now, a new exhibit takes center stage, spotlighting the enduring legacy of Black playwrights, lyricists, composers, and authors who have shaped Broadway's history. Ben West is a musical theater artist and historian.
There are a number of Black authors in the musical theater space, I will say in particular, who are often overlooked. So it's incredibly important, I feel certainly, and I think the folks at the museum feel, to recognize these voices and to understand the context and to understand where we come from.
Crafting Excellence, Black Storytellers of Broadway is an exhibit highlighting the contributions of more than 40 trailblazers whose original plays and musicals have graced the Broadway stage. It focuses on artists from the past and present.
It's about, for me, being comprehensive in the coverage. So do we have folks from the turn of the century? Do we have folks mid-century? There was, for example, a wave of Black work in the 60s and 70s. Do we have that represented?
The installation showcases artifacts like this stage model of MJ the Musical and iconic costumes from popular musicals like The Color Purple and Choir Boy. This dress was worn by the late Tony Award nominee Eartha Kitt in The Wild Party, a musical directed by George C. Wolfe, who was also honored in the exhibit.
He co-authored the book for that particular show. It takes place during the Jazz Age, and it is based on a poem.
The walls are adorned with dozens of Black Broadway icons, including the legendary James Baldwin. Museum staff hope visitors leave with a deeper appreciation of how these artists have shaped and continue to shape the evolution of Broadway. The exhibit is here at the Museum of Broadway for a limited time, inviting visitors to experience this powerful celebration of Black storytellers of Broadway through mid-March. In Midtown, Janae Caldwell, Pix 11 News.
We're taking a live look right now from our camera out at Lakeway. Very little wind, a lot of sunshine, blue sky today. It's going to be a very pretty afternoon across the area. And also today, not so bad on our pollen count. As a matter of fact, the cedar count lower than it was yesterday. Yesterday, 5 grains per cubic meter of air. Today, it's down to 1. And do you know, here we're at the end of January, a few more days to go before the month is over. We have yet to have, at least from our counter, a cedar count that has exceeded 1,000 grains per cubic meter. We haven't had any of those 4- and 5-figure counts that are normally what we see during January into February. I hope I didn't jinx it, but I thought I would mention that to you. Normal high today is 63. Most of our highs this afternoon, I'm going to go between 58 and 62. As some of these numbers may be a tad too low. And then overnight low temperatures will fall mostly into the upper 20s in some of the hill country to the low to mid 30s across the rest of the area. Low pressure will be developing and moving to between San Francisco and Los Angeles over the weekend. And this is our rainmaker, not only for Sunday, but also into Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday, it starts to get closer to us, and then it sags a little further to southwest of El Paso by Thursday, and then it starts to move to the northeast by Friday. The upper flow continues to bring in moisture from the Pacific, and that's going to lead to the rain chances that we have in our forecast. By Saturday, the system is in the middle of the country and moves away from the area. So for the rest of the afternoon, bathed in sunshine forecast, but the clouds return tomorrow morning. They'll open up in parts of our eastern viewing area, especially. We're talking Bastrop, Fayette, Giddings, and Milam County late tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours. Then overnight, the rain chances go up as a cold front comes through the area from north to south. It delivers a north wind. It's not an Arctic front, so we don't have to worry about that, but there will be a cooler north wind as we get into Sunday. And most of the rain Sunday happening in the morning, not so much, I think. In the afternoon, there'll be some spot showers, so most of the rain Sunday in the morning. And then we'll continue to see some wet weather Monday into Tuesday, and then higher rain chances as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. We could get some decent numbers coming in for totals as well. And then the rain will be out of the area by Friday morning, leading to what may be another Friday afternoon like the one we're going to have today. As far as rain totals are concerned, this European model continues to see some 1- and 2-inch rain totals from the hill country eastward. And so let's hope for that, because this has not been a good month for rain at all. And today's solar forecast is looking at an 8-battery day. I think tomorrow and Sunday we see lower numbers than that. All right, from the First Warning Weather Center, 60 for the high this afternoon with a south to southwest wind. That's a warming wind. 59 tomorrow, low rain chance in the afternoon. Rain chance up to 50% Sunday, but a cooler north wind keeps our highs in the lower half of the 50s, upper 50s Monday, and then we're in the 60s Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Looking at next Wednesday and Thursday as decent rain days for us. Avery?
Rich, thank you. A big wrestling event happening in Austin tonight. 2 superstars headed to our studio before they take to the ring. We'll have more from them after the break. Also coming up tonight on TV, if you want to tune in from 7 to 10, it is the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. And then, of course, by 10 p.m., we'll be right back on here for KXAN News. Tonight, World Wrestling Entertainment, or WWE, returns to the Moody Center for Friday Night SmackDown. Meteorologist Freddie Vela spoke with 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions Elton Prince and Kit Wilson. The duo is known as Pretty Deadly. Apparently, this is one of the best interviews our crew says they've ever seen on our airwaves. Take a listen.
Everything you dream, you know, you work hard within the systems and within the rankings of the WWE. NXT kind of being one of those starter brands. A great show, a fantastic thing. Great show. You know, it's full of these up-and-comers, but now we were once these up-and-comers, and we've made it. We're here. We're on Friday Night SmackDown tonight.
Well, we up till we came.
In the Moody Centre.
In the Moody Centre.
I feel good. I feel bubbly. I feel energetic. It's exciting, much like the WWE itself. You know, there's a lot going on. It's big. It's big, Freddie.
It's big, Freddie.
Yeah, boy.
Yes, okay, so I'm being told that they have a catchphrase.
Yeah, boy.
That they taught the morning crew.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, boy.
I want to note you can see this duo take on their rivals, Motor City Machine Guns. Okay, I also heard they did a weather forecast.
Kristen, to her credit, said, you know, you're not leaving until you come give them the 7-day forecast. And so they walked over when she got done with her main weather and got to the last graphic. And she said, okay, it's just like she does with the children that come into our studio for tours. And she goes, okay, point to Friday, and now point to Saturday, and point to Sunday. And they did great.
They're coming for your gig,
They
Rich.
really are. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, boy.
All right, let's take a look at the weekend forecast for you because we have a little bit of a change coming. Clouds tomorrow, and especially on Sunday, we have a little rain east tomorrow, late afternoon into the evening, high 59. And then a north wind overnight will drop our temperatures into the low 50s. Decent chance of rain on Sunday, and then rain chances continue next week.
Y'all don't let me do the 7-day ever.
Monday.
Someday.
Monday.
Someday.
Monday. You're coming over on Monday to do it. Monday, over there.
Have a wonderful weekend. You all can watch that interview and more at KXANnews.com.